Shalom Aleichem. The Sicha Vayeishev is based on a Maamar. So let's learn the Maamar. The Maamar that Rabbi gave out. It came out in Tavshin Mem Ches, but it's a Maamar of Tavshin Lamed Ches. Interesting, the Rebbe said the Maamar from his room, which was broadcast downstairs, even though this was after Rosh Chodesh Kislev. It was pretty much almost a month after Rosh Chodesh Kislev. But the Rebbe nevertheless said the Maamar on Motzei Shabbos, Parshas Vayeishev, and then was Magiah in Tavshin Mem Ches. So let's share this Maamar. Here we go. Shalom, by the way, the Rebbe didn't say this is the niggin of a Maamar. The Rebbe said niggin of a Sicha. In other words, like a Sicha style, but it's a Maamar. And then it was published as a Maamar and as a Sicha. So Shalom, peace for all those who love Torah. And the Fidik is Medayik. What's the meaning of Shalom Rav? Which means, why? Because it implies that there's regular Shalom Stam, or as the Maamar over there says, Shalom Ma'at, small Maamar. And then later on in the Maamar, the Rebbe says he calls it Shalom Stam. So what's the difference between Shalom Stam and Shalom Rav? And also why La'oya Vayeishev? Torah is Dach Chachma Bina, Chachmas Chema. It's intellectual. So it should have used an expression of learning, not less expression of feeling, ava. And over there, the Fidik Rebbe explains, Vayeishev means they love Torah not only mitzad Torah atzma, mitzad chachma sheba, but also mitzad noisin haTorah, oya Vayeishev secha, the Avishter's Torah, which connects obviously to Chanukah and the idea of chukir tzeinecha, etc. And this is Shalom Rav Vayeishev secha, that the Shalom that happens to limud Torah stam, regular limud Torah is Shalom Stam. However, if it's oya Vayeishev secha, when limud Torah is not only avas Torah but avas Hashem. And Levi says, and obviously also Avos Yisrael, because Avos Yisrael is a kli to Avos Hashem, and they're all one. So through doing Oya Vayeishev, then you get not only Shalom Stam, you get Shalom Rav. Now, the Indian of Oya Vayeishev, that the love of Torah is mitzad neisna Torah. It's explained in that Maamar. What's this idea of Oya Vayeishev? How do you accomplish it? It's accomplished through Hakdamas Avodas Hatfilah, through Avodas Hatfilah in the morning. And it's explained, Ki Ikar Avodah Avos Hashem. Ikar Avodah is Avos Hashem. Interesting, it connects to, I'm teaching this on Sunday, and that was today's Tanya. The second to the last Geras or section in Kutasach, essay. Like it says in Zohar, that there is no service of Hashem as the service of the Chimus of Av. And this is Shayach also to the Kava Avodah. And what's the goal of tefillah? What's the avodah of davening? Because tefillah is referred to as avodah. Lavei lavas Hashem, and that's when if you go to Kudus Avodah from the Rebbe Dashab, that's the beginning. That's really the basis of the whole Kudus Avodah. That the goal of davening is to achieve avos Hashem, and that's why it says Vayeishev Secha needs akdamas avos tefillah, because through tefillah you come to avos Hashem. And then you're able to accomplish Vayeishev Secha, that the Avos HaTorah is mitzad neisna Torah. And this is also what's explained in various places, like in Likutei Torah, regarding the davening of Abba ben Yamin, one of the Tanoim, who used to say, "Shetehei tefilasi smucha lemitasi," that my davening should be close to my bed. What does that mean? Shemailas limud Torah, the mailah limud Torah is dafka when it comes after Avodah. So in that context, in other words, when I come from my bed, I daven, and I have the bittul, and then I'm able to learn. Even though Avodas Hatfilah is one kav of the three kavim, and Talmud Torah is another kav, nevertheless, you need Avodas Hatfilah because Akdamas Avodas Hatfilah allows the limud to be in the next level, Oya Vayeishev. And this will be explained based on the Maamar Chazal in Baba Metzia, on the pasuk from Yirmiyah Alma of the Aretz, that why was the land destroyed? The first place was destroyed. Al Ozvam Misteirasi, and over there the Chazal explained Allah Shaloi Berchu B'Torah Tchila, that they didn't bless the Torah Tchila, the famous Bach, etc. on this. That from here is understood that Berchu B'Torah Tchila is the Inyan Ikli not only in Avodas Adam Bichlal, but also in Limud Torah. Why? Because the expression that the pasuk uses Ozvam Misteirasi. Not Azvam Mesavidasi or Tfilasi, Azvam Stedasi. They left the Torah. But the thing is, it's not only leaving Torah, but rather it's leaving the entire thing. The Torah Vayeishev, in other words, you're not leaving Torah, you're leaving the Eibishter. Because what's the Baruch Hu that is Berchu Milashin Bracha V'Shefa, to bring down, to be Mamshich in the Torah. The nice not Torah. Like we said, like it's understood from the Lashon Berchu B'Torah. Seemingly they should have said that they didn't bless before learning. What's Berchu B'Torah? Because you're bringing it Berchu into the Torah. You're pulling down the vine. In other words, you're bringing it and helping it grow. And the Berchu B'Torah is the Indian of Abshachas Erein Soif in the Torah. And what is that? That is a Torah Lishma, for the sake of Torah. To bring in Gilui and Seif Shlomayla Ma'achachma, that's done when you learn Lishma. Like it says in Sefer HaBahir, Sefer Kabbalah, and others in the Sefer Mayin HaChachma, that David was Mechaber Torah B'Kadosh Baruch Hu, he connected Torah B'Kadosh Baruch Hu. And this is Al Ozma Mesteirasi Al Shabercha L'B'Torah Tchila, because through the fact that Berchu B'Torah, it becomes Torah C. And when they didn't Berchu B'Torah, then they left Torah C. Then the Torah is just the way it is, but it doesn't have Gilui and Seif Shlomayla Ma'achach. Now, even though when you learn Torah Mitzad Atzma, not Mitzad it's Torah C, it's still nevertheless Torah Shal Kadosh Baruch Hu Shul V'Chachma Seyachad. And even when somebody who learns it is Leit Torah, nevertheless it's the words of Hashem, and therefore Ein Mekabelas Tuva. So therefore, big deal, fine. So he didn't do Berchu B'Torah Tchila, but ultimately he still learned. But it's understood that the fact that the Torah is learned by Adam Leitai, so that the Dvar of Chachmas Shel Kadosh Baruch Hu is Behelim, and it cannot be compared to the level of Torah Si Begilu. And with that, especially in the Berchu B'Torah Tchila, is to bring into Eilen Seif Shlomayla Ma'achach, so you can't compare, and therefore it's considered a sin that they didn't do it Begilu, only Behelim. So Al Pi Zeh, according to this, we can understand that the mile of Limud Torah after davening is not only the mile of Negela Limud, that the learning is higher, but rather the Torah is higher. Not only the Gavra, but the Chefza. Not only the Torah, not only the person that's learning, but the Torah that's being learned. Because Derech Torah, as we said, is bringing Aaron Sefer to Torah, and that's dafka done when you have Avodas Tefillah. But Inyan, and to explain this, why do you need the davening? Because in order to bring Aaron Sefer Torah, you need bittul. And in order for the limud Torah to be bittul, you need avodas tefillah, which is tefillah is bittul. You have to stand ke'eved lifnei Rabbi, servant in front of his master, which is a higher bittul than even the bittul of Kriya Shema. Because by Kriya Shema, even though you're not allowed to make a wink with your eyes or with your lips or show with your fingers, but nevertheless, there are certain things you can stop in the middle of Kriya Shema, between paragraphs, etc. However, not by Shmoneh. And also Kriya Shema is by yeshiva. Mashen can Shmoneh is by midah. And the difference between sitting and standing is yeshiva's moed alin yisashvus. Vayeishev Yaakov, Bikesh Yaakov Leishva Shava, in calmness. But midah is bittul. And through the bittul, standing is bittul, and through the bittul of tefillah, then the limud of Torah that you have after that is for bittul, and you get Aaron Sefer. In other words, not only do you need to accomplish the ahava that we spoke about before, that the love of Hashem, which is mainly Kriya Shema, you also have to accomplish the bittul, which is mainly Shmoneh. And Vayeishev, we could say that this is the connection between the two pirushim in the Medrash. On the pasuk, one says it's referring to davening, and the other one says it's referring to Torah, or rather keves, which is the ramp, which is and tefillah comes instead of karbanis, and sinai, which is Torah. Why? Because they're both interconnected. Through avodas tefillah, you have an ili in Torah as well that you get that answer. But you still have to understand the pasuk says Shalom Sicha, and this pasuk comes in continuation to what was said earlier, as we say every day just before Leina. So the question is, is only after Avodas Tefillah, because it says v'dav shalom b'noich, and shalom only gets to Vayeishev, and Vayeishev only happens through davening. So you ask the question, so then so it's basically saying the same thing. So what's the addition of shalom Vayeishev on the dav shalom b'noich? If you already said dav shalom b'noich, why do you need the second pasuk, which the Maamar is based on? But the explanation is, Chazal say on pasuk v'dav shalom b'noich, which is the first pasuk, and b'noich are tamidei chachamim that build the world. So this is the difference between the two pasukim. The pasuk v'dav shalom b'noich, which refers to the way Torah affects the world, it builds the world. So that over there, the intention is be'ikr to the shalom that happens in the world through learning Torah. The Torah came last shalom b'olam. But the pasuk shalom Vayeishev adds that the shalom of not only goes out to the world, it goes to the Talmidei Chachamim itself, Vayeishev. In other words, it's a puller matzvah and puller sumayla. And this is why Dafka, this pasuk says Vayeishev, that the Av of Torah is to the love of Hashem, which happens after Avodas Tefillah, because in order to bring shalom into the world, you don't need Avodas Tefillah so much. But Mashenkin, so that the shalom love shall get to Talmidei Chachamim, that you need Avodas Tefillah. So for the pull of the belt, you don't necessarily need Avodas Tefillah, but for pull on yourself, you need Avodas Tefillah. And if I could just say, like you can do shlichus without Avodas Tefillah, but you can't refine your character without Avodas Tefillah. And this can be more explained based on what the Maamar says from the Fidi Kedeva regarding Avodas Tzadikim, that they sustain the world, shenivda b'asar ma'amalis, which is similar to what we said that the Talmidei Chachamim b'noich they build the world. Asar ma'amalis correspond to the Aseres Hadibris, and Talmidei Chachamim build the world by the fact that they bring the Aseres Hadibris, which is within it has included Kol HaTorah, all the Torah that will ever be innovated and learned. They bring it into the Asar Ma'amaris that the world was created. And even though we know that the world was created, the world was created perfect. So there was already elikus in this world. What do you need more? The kavanah, the intention of the creation is that we have to add more toisefes arba'elim, add more light into the world until and that's through Aseres Hadibros, Basilagani, etc. And this is what Talmidei Chachamim Marbim Shalom Ba'olam expressed the word Marbim adds that the Shalom Ba'olam that happens on Talmidei Chachamim is not only Shlilas and Yonah-Bilti B'Tzurim, negating things which are against Shalom, which happens through sins, because sins bring Pirud, Chet brings Pirud. In other words, you're not only trying to accomplish that the world should be the way it was at the beginning, but more than that, Marbim Shalom. Without shalom, he wanted a bigger shalom, the shalom that will be l'asad lover, because through the Esek Torah they bring from Atmos and Sof, which is higher Rishosh Elamis, and through that they're accomplishing the Kavanah and the Savakadosh Baruch Hu Yisparach Devadateh. And to explain this idea of Ma'am Shalom Ba'olam deeper, that I was going level after level after level, we could explain this based on what the Maamar says. That Kiyum Ma'olam is the fact that they bring into the Asar Ma'amaris the Aseres Hadibros. They bring the Aseres Hadibros into the Asar Ma'amaris. So we can say that Yesh Leima, that the Kavanah, the Fidi Kedeva, that's Madgish Aseres Hadibros Tafka, which Aseres Hadibros was given in Matan Torah, because he was trying to be Madgish that the Kiyum Ma'olam through the Avodah of Torah Mitzvah Shalach and Matan Torah, that's what accomplishes. Even though the Avos brought the incredible light into the world higher than Asar Ma'amaris, nevertheless, because Avodah Avos was B'keich Atzmon, they weren't commanded, so therefore, the light that came through their avodah is only mipchina sherish hamivlayim, and it cannot be compared to what we're mamshich after Matan Torah, and more so that even avodas adam addition, the way he was in Gan Eden, loved the Lashamna, and before Chet Tzadas, he was even a higher level of avodas avos, and the earth that he brought into the world is incomparable to the world the way it is. Nevertheless, it was still only why? Because the he couldn't do it. However, when you bring Dam Shachat to Torah, which is after Matan Torah, when the decree is no longer there, then you're bringing Atzmos. And this explains deeper that in Maamar Shalom Ba'olam, not only do you bring Eirein Saif that we've been talking about till now, but you bring Atzmos, which is ultimately literally you bring the essence of Hashem. Now, because Hashem never holds back the reward of any creature. So therefore, the Libya Shalom that happens to the world to the Medicham happens to themselves. They get it into themselves as well. And meaning that the nachas duach that the Eibishter gets from the fact that the will be revealed to Tamid Chacham who made the dira, who made the home, and that gilu is greater than the schar v'olam haba the way it is mitzad itself, because the schar v'olam haba is nachas duach the nivra, which is incomparably lower than nachas duach the baya the creator, and therefore yafa shach is shul ma'astem kol chayelam haba, because elam haba is nachas duach the nivra, and in this world when you're doing shul ma'astem tayvim it's not stuch the bayit, but because Hashem doesn't hold back the schar, so that tzaddikim will therefore get a bit of nachas duach or much of nachas duach the bayit. But in order for them to receive this incredible level, which is beyond them, because this is tainik of atzmus, which Klal has no gather and there's no way to define it. Therefore, you need absolute bittul, and therefore you need a daven. You need to be like an eved. Eved Metzias Adon, and then timing of Adon, Utanig Eved, you have the pleasure of the Adon. So therefore, you need Vayeishev Secha, that the vessel for Shalom Elav, for you and yourself, you need Avodah. For the Velt, you don't need, but for you to really achieve Nachas Duach the Bayit, because for the Velt, you're just getting Nachas Duach the Bayit, you bring neighbors to that. But now you're trying to get the Nachas Duach of Bayit into yourself. So therefore, you need Bittul B'Tachlis. It has to be only for the Eibishter, literally just for the Eibishter. And when you do that, when you have Tefillah Bittul, then you're able to become Metzias Adon. And that's why in the pasuk of Avtzon B'Noich it doesn't say Vayeishev, because for the Velt, even Hadayodua, it's known, and Rabbi references from Sefer Sicha Shalom, that even without Avodas Tefillah, even with lacking in Yiddish Shamayim, you can be Mechavan Halacha L'mitasa, and you can even do a Psak Din Amiti. But in order to get it for yourself, in other words, the impact on the Velt, you don't need such a high level. The impact on yourself, you need a high level, because you need to get Nafasuch Debayah. And Yesh Leimar, that the vessel to receive Nafasuch Debayah is not only Avodas Eved, but also the Avodah Ben, which is different than Eved. Bifnat, especially that the Inyanim, Shamas Yisrael, the main thing about us is not that we're an Eved, but rather Bani Matam Hashem Lekecha. And that's why the pasuk Shalom Davar Sesecha comes next after B'dav Shalom B'Noich, because it's Schar de B'Noich with Bani. And even though it says Al Tik de B'Noich El B'Noich, the fact is it doesn't negate the original pshat. B'Noich were sons. So now we have to explain how this works in sons. So when Ois Yud says like this, we can understand this based on what the Alter Rebbe, this Kislev writes in Torah, Oilam Vayishbak writes Guli Aviv. The difference between Torah and mitzvahs. Kiyum mitzvahs, the person who does the mitzvahs is b'chinas eved. However, in Limudat Torah, Hadeu Amelech Atzmai. Mamash the key. Because when you're doing Torah b'chinas bittul, then ba'asim v'alei b'fich Hashem puts His words in our mouth. V'alei mamash. In other words, not the person's not the one talking, but rather Dvar Hashem. So Allah, that's what's being revealed. And this is what it means. Man Malki Rabbanan, who are kings Rabbanan, because in order that if the intention is that the limud halacha shalem should be bebittul, then the limud halacha has to be in a way that the melech atzmai is the one that's saying the psak din. So that's why you're a king, because the Eibush is talking through you, and that's what it continues in the Likutei Torah on the pasuk. Vayeishev Yaakov writes Megudei Aviv. Megudei comes from the word gud yida, and also the lashon oitzer in the Gemara Megudem le'peres. Storage full of pages, which is a kli, it's something that you're holding into it. And this they're all connected on one. Why? Because the pasuk says here is Hashem Eitzadai, and we also use the expression Eitzer Shel Yiras Hashemayim. And in other words, you need an Eitzer, you need a vessel that contains Yiras Hashemayim, and so in other words, the Eitzer Shel Yiras Hashemayim, that both translations become one, like the Magi, the message, who's the Bala Yartzit of Yitas Kislev, writes in the Sefer Artayla that Megudei Aviv is Yiras Aviv Sheba Shamayim. And over there he continues, Megudei also means gathering in. Oigev Rakayit, gathering in. So what's the Pshat Megudei Aviv? That the Bittul of Yida becomes the vessel through which you can receive Chachma Ilah, Aviv. In other words, as we said earlier, that when Esek HaTorah is b'bittul, then you get Var Halacha. Now, from the fact that the Torah says that the bittul of Yira is a kli to Chachmei law, so that and the word that we use in the pasuk is Megulei Aviv, so we're referring over here to the Eibishter as an Av, so we understand over here that's referring to the bittul of Ben, because Av and Ben, not Melech and Adon and Eved. Because the Avodah B'chinas HaBen, you could have the ultimate bittul that you know Metzias Elod, but rather you Metzias Ha'av. You're literally one with the Eibishter. And this bittul can be even higher than bittul the Eved. Because over here, you're not the Eved HaMakamitz Melech, but rather you're the Melech Atzma. And interesting, if you go to Ranat with the, not Ranat, Samach Vav, from Miknadav, where the Rebbe Shaf's going back and forth, Eved and Ben, etc. Over here, the Rebbe seems to imply that there's something that the Ben has that the Eved can't even have. And this is the expression of the Chol Banach, Modeh Shemidav Shalom Banach, that the avodah is something that refer to banim. They are like the Maggid says, Vayeishev Yaakov Begudei Aviv, the avodah banim. They're literally gathered in the tzeitzis hakdoshim and they're elevated them. And this is how is this accomplished? Through Vayeishev Yaakov, Bikesh Yaakov Leishav Shalom, Shalom, the shalom that we bring into the world and the shalom that we bring to ourselves, because we're banim. And therefore, nachas ruach the boile, we get ourselves to the Talmidei Chacham. And this is Shalom Vayeishev that through the avodah of Torah mitzvahs, it's not only l'kavos chava, but also tzadavas Hashem, nachas ruach the boile. Through that, you become the time of Gabayda becomes yours. Just a beautiful Maamar. It's structured in the fact of first explaining what we do for the Welt, what we do for ourselves. First explaining the avodah of Eved and then the avodah of Ben, but ultimately. Shalom Lav Vayeishev ve'ein lam michshol. Shalom Lav Vayeishev that the Shalom Lav is accomplished by Vayeishev. And over here you see how the Rebbe referenced the whole idea of Bikesh Yaakov Leishav Shalva, which connects to, that's the basis of the Sicha version of this Maamar. L'chaim l'shalom.